First on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of January 23rd, 24. Barry? Second. Tom? We're going to have a review of the proposed 2025 budget. Michael?
You don't mind, let me sit up here. Sure, wherever you. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to go over this year's proposed budget for 2025. Well, this is the first draft. We will go through 2 iterations. We will look at this draft, make changes. We'll have a second draft. That second draft will go to the Finance Committee for recommendations for in November. And what starts this process, we've been working on the budget probably about May. They've already presented this budget to the airlines on August 26th. That's what starts the clock ticking. We then have 30 days to for them to comment on it. And we will be meeting with them on September 23rd. I have asked the airlines to provide all their comments by September 13th, which is this Friday. Once I get their comments, we'll look through them, accept them, machinations, change the budget accordingly, amend it. We'll look at other items that have cropped up since then, perhaps personnel items perhaps that you would like, see reduced, and then make my second draft of the budget for the Finance Committee. That said, this is the, I want to go back and show you how since 2012, we have the budget, the budget is in the light blue, the actual expenses are in the dark blue. And as you can see from year to year, we are favorable to budget. Better in some years, less in some, but I think you can see that we are progressing in an upward trend since about 2020. Be it good, bad, or indifferent. The light blue, this year's budget, $55.68 million at this time. That is draft 1. And when I look, you look at the actual expenses. This is the same as the previous one. I just wanted to eliminate the budget, but you can see the upward trend as I indicated. This one, I know it's small, but this budget, this graph, I broke it down by personnel and benefits, materials and supplies, for the services rendered by the contract services and utilities. And I kept it at the same scale because you can see that the entire increase, not the entire increase, but a lot of the increase is the personnel expenses. And that's no different from any other airport. Personnel expenses is the majority of expenses in an airport. We're a service organization. Then you can see, and not so clearly here, but maybe on paper, you have the increase in professional services, roughly $2 million in 2024 and 2025. That, of course, is the security that we have for the terminal, guiding the people, in front of the terminal. We have 6 individuals.
Michael,
Yes,
sorry. What's the total staffing expense?
Staffing expense.
Getting there?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
I'll keep it. So we look at budget 2024 compared to budget 2025. We went from $50.6 million to $55.6 million. That increase is a net of $5 million, but that's a net. I like to look at the total, look at the gross and see how much increases we have versus decrease to come up with it. And the total increases is $6.9 million, call it $7 million for kicks and giggles. That is broken up now between our 2 entities. We have the airport itself, and then we have the FBO millionaire. And I like to split it so that we can actually see how much money the FBO is making. Now, based on the $5.9 million in increases I'm not going to go through every increase, and I don't think you want me to. But I do go through 82% of the increases that we have. And if you can see the table there, the biggest increase is the perimeter security, or those people in front of the terminal. That, of course, will go down in 2027 once we have the project completed. The salary, we have an increase of $1.57 million. I will go through that increase in the next two slides. Janitorial services, $467,000. That is due to an increase in the contract. They're going to increase the pay at the prevailing wage. Public safety, that is our sheriff's department. Control tower maintenance has increases, increase in janitorial supplies. Building maintenance increases annually. You know, our buildings are getting older, and we just have to keep maintaining them. Window washing will increase. Part of that is with the new construction of the terminal connector, property insurance, sewer, and social security and water. But those are the 82% of the increases. You're looking at them right there. Remaining increases $1 million. Now, if you remember that 1.57 million, it's right there. Well, what is that made up of? You know, why do we have an increase in salaries from 24 to 25? Well, 1 million of that increase is due to added positions, and I'll go through those on the next slide. The other $1 million, well, that's just the increases that we have for the employees, which for our county authority, it's 3%, but for all the other ones, we have increases both because of their contract with the union, and we have renegotiated those increases, and those are not only inflationary, but they also negotiated an increase. Budgeted vacancies. When somebody leaves the airport, we don't get them the next day, so we budget for salary savings there. Also, we have open positions. As you know, in my financial report, you know, I report on the number of open positions that we have on a monthly basis. And here we are, you know, we look at the positions where, you know, I have the personnel broken out by AFPORTs, ACA, and the FPO. And as you can see, we are adding, we're adding about 17 positions at the airport this next year. We advise, though, that is, we net that against the 18 we are eliminating. As you recall, last year we added 18 positions in the operations department, and that was for security for the terminal security out on the roadway. We decided to contract that out so we can eliminate those 18 positions and possibly add these other positions. But again, you know, this is still a draft. Those 17 positions were cut down from what we originally started, which was a number far north of that. So that's not set in stone at the moment. None of this is. But some of the highlights are, you know, here at the airport, we have an aging workforce, and we want to make the airport sustainable and make sure that we have people in back of us to replace us when, you know, retirements and so forth. One of those is the deputy airport maintenance manager, the airfield. As you may or may not know, Ray Camellia is here. He's been here forever, has so much knowledge, but it's best if we can hire someone so that he can teach that knowledge or, you know, pass that knowledge on to before he would leave suddenly.
Yeah, I'd like to interrupt you for a second. John and I agree that individual is critically important to the airport operations. And, you know, in fairness to him, he has to retire. He's going to retire at some point, and we don't want to be left shorthanded. He's a master electrician. He's former with the local union. He's still unionized now, I believe. But all the runway lights, you know, the whole redundancy. We have a complicated electrical system here. And so we need somebody to, you know, a person that will still be here when he decides to retire. I don't know if John wants to add anything to
Well,
that.
he has what they call institutional knowledge. He knows where everything is. And that's so critical when something goes down. He knows where to go. He doesn't have to pull out a drawing and start searching.
Right. And we'll miss him when he's gone, but because he's easy to work with as well, but we need some redundancy there.
The other positions, you know, we have a parking assistant. I won't go through all of them. If you want me to go through all of them, I will, but I don't. Okay,
If that is-
okay. Very good. This is the, you know, again, this will change with a new draft, but we have the budgeted 2024 airline fees in comparison to the budget. We have the landing fee coming down and got the island and landing. The other ones are increases. We still will have revenue sharing at the airport. We have a cost per payment that will go from $9.95 to $11.59. Right now, again, I can't stress enough, that will change when we get the airline comments and we do another machination of this calculation. Then, of course, we have the capital budget and, you know, the airline in our agreement, they provide us approximately between 3.5 and $4 million every year in capital expenditures. And this is a challenge. You know, we have a lot of more capital expenditures than that. We are in negotiations for a new use and lease agreement, and that's the number one thing that I am trying to increase is the amount of capital contributions. I have presented this to the airlines. I haven't heard back. I'm very anxious to hear what they have to say, but I have presented and asked them for $6.3 million for 2025. But in that we have, you can see a lot of that are equipment purchases, vehicles. You know, the board has stressed the importance of maintaining our vehicles on a 10-year basis, you know, and we're trying to do that. We also have other items that are just as important, but some of those I think we can maybe delete, and I'm sure the airlines will look at it and delete some of those, which is fine. But that's what we have in the capital plan that we presented. So our next steps, again, September 13th, the big day, for me anyway, which is sad, but that's when we will receive the comments from the airlines. And next week I'll be busy. Margaret and I will be busy. The airlines will be busy looking at seeing how we handle their questions. September 23rd, then we have a follow-up discussion with the airlines and we'll present the second draft. Then in October, we have not yet scheduled a finance committee meeting, but we will, and I'll present those to you. And then we are planning on November 18th, you know, that board meeting that we would present and have approved the budget 2020.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael?
Thank you, Michael. You know, we'll do all these documents and we'll be prepared for the next meeting. Have some more detailed Michael for you. Appreciate that.
And please, if you don't want to wait till the next meeting, if you tell David, Peter, and John, you can call me.
Of course.
And I'll, you know, answer, or I'll meet with you to go through how we do this. I'll be glad to do that.
This is on the agenda to discuss that.
That on the agenda, we now have the PFC.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, PFCs.
I think, well, this is a potential board item, right? This
You
is
know,
an
I
action item.
think it's good, you know, the previous applications that I put in had not went to the board, and I think it's good to have the application before the board in approval. I mean, we're talking a lot of money, and I think it's important, if nothing else, it gets in the record, and for many to come, for years to come, it's in record. So that's why I put it in there. Again, this is application 6 with amendments to 4 and 5. I provided you, I went back after during executive session, and I kind of made a graph, as I don't know if I did that good of a job on explaining about the PFC cash flow, but there you can see the green going up. That's the cash that we will receive. We start out with balance of 10 million. I believe I said 7 million. Apologize. But then we have the expenses, in red, and those expenses are provided, in the application there. That's the for the concourse A. And we have the cargo facility apron, 1.5 million. We already paid it, it's already done, but we'll get reimbursement for that.
Michael, what I would ask, so this is PFC application 6, right?
Yes.
So that means there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Correct, but those started 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3 are probably back to 2010 around there. 1990, that PFC application started in 94, and Margaret, you were here, I
I
wasn't.
was here.
So within the last, 3 or 4 years,
5 years, yes.
so in the last 5 years, has there been any of these applications?
We had four. That was probably 2021. John was probably just coming off of that one. And then we had the previous one, number 5, yes.
So could you provide us the background and details of number 5?
Absolutely.
So then I'm thinking that this is on the agenda item for the finance committee. So then it says authorization to submit the following PFC application, so that at the board meeting, this would actually be an action item at the board.
That is correct. And I'm authorizing, as you can see, if you look at the application, my name's on it, and I want to make sure that everybody's okay with me signing this document. It's for the collection of $12 million. And you're going to say, well, Michael, geez, you have $12 million. But if you look into the PowerPoint, it's more. You have to understand, we went to the airline presentation process. The meeting was May 22nd. Since then, a lot has changed. Mostly was the course A project. We received bids and it was less than what we expected. So that's what the change is. So now we are planning on submitting this application next week. And the reason why, because we have 30 days to get the airline. And again, I want to get this approval as soon as possible because I'm going to make it out there with, we don't have the full funding yet that the concourse A. And I just want to get that tied in.
And I think the board's shown willingness for years that if we had to move quicker because of timing, because of payment schedules, because of application schedules, we've done special meetings, we've done emergency meetings, if we had to do that. I think, I'd like to see number 5. I'd like to see the timing of it. And I'll get the information reviewed, then I'll follow up on it. This last one that was done, what was it for? How much was it for? And then, because I think the expenditure of this nature, this has to come before the board.
Right.
It's part of our, it's part of our duties and responsibilities
Sure.
as authority members.
And please understand though, this is not an expenditure. This is an
Right.
appropriation for the receiving of funds.
Same.
It's like the same as, when Honor comes to you with a grant for
We vote to accept that grant.
Correct. And I think that's a good practice, and that's why I think it's a good practice for these PFC applications.
Thank you, Michael, appreciate it. I apologize again, but we're going to take the motion to go into executive session. I promise this one will be a little more brief than the last one. So I'll take a motion to go into.
Can we just detail the reasoning behind the executive session?
Yeah, it's set forth on the bottom of the form.
Yeah, the matter of involvement. Thank you. Promise it'll be brief.